So, Deb, are you ready? Yes? Fantastic. Okay. So.
Yes, I am. Thank you. And
you're right there. So this is a nervous-making moment. So I want to mention two things that we've already done in this little interaction. And hello, Deb. It's lovely to see you. So one is that when Deb first said, yes, I am, she was on mute. And I didn't say, you're on mute. Because you know what? Zoom told her she was on mute as well. And I could see, because I'm looking at her body language, that she was already moving to the button. So we're 1.5 years into this. I've seen people who have the mug now that says, you're on mute, as the great big icon on there. Extend each other a little grace. Let people get that first sentence out. And if you can see them moving to rectify the situation already, you don't need to tell them, because they know and they're already dealing with it. So the other thing we did was, this might be a bit nervous making. This is very brave, signing up for on-camera coaching. There's something really powerful and validating about owning our emotions. I went to the theater yesterday for the first time since before the pandemic. And I was at the Kennedy Center, where everyone has to be masked and there's no eating and drinking, and you have to show your vaccination and wear a little wristband. And it all felt very well regulated. And I sat down and I said to the friend I was there with, I'm just going to push it outside my head. This is a lot of people. I'm a bit nervous right now. This is why I'm vaccinated. This is why I'm wearing a mask. This is important to me, and I'm pleased to be here. So that was a lot of emotion owning in a complex situation, but you can do that in an interview. You can do that in an informational interview. You can say, I've been waiting a long time to talk to you. I'm excited, but I'm also a bit nervous. And simply naming it can help us to relax a bit, can build a human connection, even through a camera.
well, thank you for saying that, Joanna, because when I signed up for this, I thought it would be more one-on-one. I did not realize that I was going to be with the whole 40 plus community. So I am nervous, and I appreciate you allowing me to be nervous.
Of course. Are you still
Joanna,
up
can
for
I
this?
just step in here for just a second and say, Deborah, this is your community. We're here to support you as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So are you still up for this?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So let's start with, what questions do you have? So we're going to focus on sort of camera presence and camera readiness in our conversation. Do you come to this conversation with specific questions, with things that have challenged or puzzled you in the past?
I think the first question I have, in fact, you covered it in when you started the conversation, was the lighting. And a 1.5 years or almost 2 years into these Zoom meetings, I've struggled with lighting, and I keep moving. So, having a darker pallor and a darker skin tone, I need more light. And often a Zoom conversation will start off with, Deborah, I can't see you, which then, doesn't bode well.
Yes.
So I'm trying with more lights than I usually have around me. And so, from your perspective, are you able to see me clearly? And is this lighting suitable? Would it be suitable for a potential interview?
So these are great questions. So I'm going to directly answer your question, and then I'm going to give some wider tips, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So to directly answer your question, I would like to see 2 changes. Okay. One is, I'd like to see a little more light on your face, and I'm going to give you some suggestions on how to do that without spending any money. And the second one is, I'd like to see your camera a little higher, if you can.
Okay.
Now, for some people, if you have an external camera, that means literally making your camera higher. For many of us, that means making our laptop higher.
Okay.
World's best kept secret, you can balance things on books. You do not need a fancy pants laptop stand. You do not need to spend any money. You need some books, a box. Fantastic. So you didn't change the lighting, you did change the angle, and your face looks different in a way that allows me to connect more with your facial expression.
Thank you. That's great.
So with lighting, I mentioned the conundrum I was wrestling with this morning. As a general rule, more light is better.
Okay.
As a general rule, the challenge, the biggest problem we all face is the sort of silhouetting when the lights are behind us. But think about how we arrange furniture in a room, because it's hard to put furniture up against the window. So often our desks put us with our backs to the window. I mentioned I moved office last week. As I was looking at offices, I kid you not, I considered my office selection based on what my Zoom background would be, how I could control light. And I'm a big whiteboarder. Milry mentioned my first career was as a teacher, but I don't want that whiteboard with all of my client brainstorming stuff on it in the background of my Zoom. So my whiteboard is perpendicular to my camera angle. And that was actually a factor in both the office that I chose and how I arranged the room. As we get to this place where this hybrid, if not fully virtual, is part of our long-term future, you may, if you haven't already, want to consider room rearrangements, those sorts of things.
Right.
Also on the lighting side of things, diffuse light. Well, that's great, but I don't want to have to go out and buy a special lamp. So regular table lamp pointed at your face with a piece of paper over the frame, the sort of pointy bit that's coming at you, just taped to the top so that it diffuses the light from makes it like a diffuse lens rather than here I am in the spotlight. Makes a world of difference.
That's great. Thank you. This is very, very helpful.
Deb, what else have you come into this with questions about?
The other bigger issue that I'm struggling with is as I'm applying for, so I'm a public health professional looking in the nonprofit space, and I've been a consultant contractor for various nonprofit organizations. I have a PhD in public health, and so I think a lot of the assumption when I apply for positions is, why am I not in research and academia? Why am I applying for more program officer, program management oriented jobs? And the biggest reason is this is the space that I love being in. So I come into these interviews with people asking me, well, you don't have a nonprofit certification, you don't have a PMP certification. I struggle with expressing that my doctorate has provided me the experience in, I had to manage my dissertation process, but that has given me sort of that project management experience. 7 years of doing a doctoral program has certainly put me in that space, but then my different work projects have also given me that experience. How do I succinctly express that? And I think, as you can tell, I was not succinct and concise in telling you this story, but that is, there's a limited time with these interviews,
yes.
But that tends
yes.
to be sort of the biggest question that I get.
So a couple of things in here. You know what questions you're getting, lead with the answers, neutralize them. And you can neutralize those right in. Most people will have gone and looked you up on LinkedIn. You can neutralize that right in your bio. You're going to talk about why you want to do what you want to do. And for you, it's a passion connection. This is the stuff that's exciting. Then you're going to talk about why you're qualified to do it. So the passion connection piece, this is something that needs to come through on camera.
Okay.
The difference between, well, I'm in this space because this is what's exciting to me. And, you know, I love being in this space. It's public health is my passion, but connecting with people around public health at that intersection that the nonprofit world gives me, totally different impression.
Of course, sure.
So you want to come across as that warm, people motivated person.
Okay.
So a couple of things that I'm doing. I'm intentionally animated. Now, I'm not reading a 3-year-old a story and acting out all the different characters here, I hope, but I am being animated. I am thinking about where my hands are, which means that if I'm taking up space in the camera, because sometimes we can be way like this and there's somebody in there, but we can't really see them. So take up space in your Zoom box, which means if you're using your hands, you want your hands to be up higher than they would be in a person-to-person conversation. Yes. You see, there's always a wisecracker. I love it. Now, you don't want your hands in front of your face because that's just weird, but I would not have my hands up near my shoulders in a real life conversation because it's just odd. But otherwise, you've got like these funny little distracting, what has she got? Is those rabbits running around in there? I don't understand what those hands are doing. So if you're using your hands, use your whole hands so that people can see them.
Okay.
Think about how you're coming across. You don't want your whole hands here because then you can't see me. But if you are going to be animated, take advantage of the space.
Thank you. That's great.
I don't hide self-view. I'm a big fan of hiding self-view as a tool. It lowers your blood pressure. It allows you to be more present to the other people in the space. It also means as a presenter, I don't know what I look like. So I don't know if I'm doing the funny rabbits thing. I don't know if I'm in front of my face. Heaven forbid I forgot I was on camera and decided this was the perfect moment to pick my nose or whatever it was I decided to do, because we've all seen those odd moments in the last 18 months. I take my box. So here's a clue for you. You can put your cursor over your own picture. You can grab it with that little Mickey Mouse glove that comes up, and you can put yourself as the last box. You're still there. I do most of my Zoom calls in gallery view because I like to see everyone rather than just in speaker view. But that way I know I'm still there. I can do a quick check-in on what I look like, but I'm not so fascinated with myself that I'm not watching anybody else. So that means I can control a little more how I come across. So neutralize the questions you know are coming by speaking to your why, your passion, mission connection, and then validating it with experience.
Okay.
So while I don't have a PMP certification, through the process of managing my dissertation and the interview and research process that went with that, I was able to really build my project management skills.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course. You also mentioned the not succinct. I'm going to encourage you to be a little more kind to yourself here. Not succinct yet. You just need to practice.